Hey everyone, it's me, Tim. Today I want to talk about why I got into MMOs, like why I even went to Carbine in the first place to make an MMO. Because a lot of people thought that this was a bit of a divergence from what I had done before, because I had made mostly, at least since Fallout, since '94, I had done nothing but RPGs. Well, I already talked in a previous video how much I really got into LPMuds in grad school. I talked about Darker Realms and Snow Cows and stunts I pulled as a wizard. That, of course, got me into MMOs. When Troika started in '98, that's when EverQuest came out. And EverQuest was pretty much a mud and with graphics thrown on the front end. And I was having so much fun with that game. I would go home and play it every night. I had dozens of characters on multiple servers. Um, the character who was most successful, who got the highest level, I had a wizard named Mungbean. Um, and he got high enough. When you were high enough, you could throw a spell called Gate, which took your party and moved it to a new location. But Gate was very slow. And in EverQuest, if you got hit while you were casting, spell got ruined. Well, if you get high enough, you get a near instant cast version, not completely instant, but pretty fast version of Gate called Evacuate. And in the fine print of the spell, it said, not guaranteed to transport the entire party. And I'm like, well, you know what? I'll cast it and, fate to the wind. I was playing with a pickup group in the Estate of Unrest. If anybody remembers that place, it was a very unstable place to play. You had to be careful how you pulled. We were down in the basement, scary down there. Someone pulled too much. The leader turned to me and said, Mungbean, your time to shine. Evacuate. Boom. Cast a spell. Bubbles appeared around everyone in the party, except me. And then they all disappeared. And then all the monsters turned and faced me while my message window filled up with other people in the party going, we're at the evacuation point. Mungbean, where are you? And of course, I died. And that's how I found out that the random party member or members who can be left behind included the caster. I did play EverQuest a lot with my friends from Interplay. I stayed friends with a lot of people, even though I was still at Troika and I wasn't allowed to go over there. But we played EverQuest. We made a group called the Spicy Girls. So it was all five. It was Baby, Scary, Sporty, um, Posh, and Ginger. I remember Scotty played Ginger because he wanted the red hair. I was Posh, and I was a bard. So I was the only member of the Spicy Girls who could play her own instruments. But because they allowed six people in EverQuest, Chris Taylor wanted to play, and we made him manager. And we had a rule: we'd be running around EverQuest. And if we ever heard anyone call for help, or we saw someone about to be killed, we would rush over and help them. So what these people saw was coming over the hill or around the corner of the dungeon were the Spice Girls, and they would dispatch the monster and then check if the person was okay. We had a healer. I think it was Baby Spice, who was played by a halfling. That was Jesse Reynolds. They would heal the person, and we'd often say, "Hey, do you want to get a screenshot with us?" So you can tell the zone, you can shout to the zone that the Spicy Girl saved you, and he'd do it, and then Chris Taylor would step in as manager and go, "I'm gonna have to charge you." I think some people gave us some money for doing that. Anyway, so that was super fun. So when Dark Age of Camelot came out, I wanted to play that. Got another group together. We were the Powerpuff Girls. I wanted to be Bubbles, and I didn't get to be Bubbles because in Dark Age of Camelot you could dye your armor, and I was going to make it baby blue, and I was going to be Bubbles, but I logged in late. I had to be Blossom, but that was fun. One of my friends called it Dork Age of Camelot. She she never caught anything the right way. She was like Eric Demote that way. Um, but then EverQuest 2 came out, and again we were back to six party members, so we made the Brady Bunch. And I remember we had a lot of fun with that. I was Jan. I would always go Marsha, Marsha, Marsha. I played a necromancer because come on, of the six Brady Bunch kids, you know who'd be a necromancer. It's got to be Jan. There was a darkness to Jan. Um, That was about the time Troika went under. Started at Carbine. I thought it was great. I get to make an MMO now, and I thought this is wonderful. Life is great. Kept playing all these games. I played WoW, but played WoW to death. Joined a guild, had a little gnome mage named Nugget. Loved being a fire specialized mage, fire spec. So much fun. Although then later I became ice spec. That was good too. Um, there were some guys in the guild who were going to Disneyland. I went to Disneyland. That's where I met my future husband. So did we meet in WoW? Did we meet in Disneyland? Well, physically in person, Disneyland. Moved on to City of Heroes, where we played a superhero team themed after Tim Gunn from Project Runway. You had to make a character. You had to make him look like Tim Gunn, or Tim Gunn had to be in his name. I played a really strong guy named Tim Big Guns. But I believe there was a Tim Big Guns who had two big guns. People saw a bunch of Tim Guns running around fighting crime. That was fun. Recently, Star Wars Galaxies had its anniversary, and I wrote Ralph Koster, one of the original designers, thanked him for his work, and basically told him about my character. I played Han Solo's cousin, Peebo Solo, without being a dashing, rakish rogue. Played DC Heroes, and I honestly can't remember a single thing about that game. Probably for, yeah, it's good I can't. Did Lord of the Rings, and I brought back something I did in Temple of Elemental Evil, where I played an all Hobbit group because I wanted to test everything out. We made an all Hobbit group in that game. Started in the Shire, I think, and ran around. I played some more MMOs after that. I found MMOs to be interesting from a play point of view. It was very social. We could have as much comedy as we wanted. No one had to take it seriously. And then from a design level, I really loved how it played with RPG tropes. I mean, it's an RPG, but when you have multiple players, it's a very different kind of RPG. It's hard to make the world reactive because what player you're going to be reacting to. It was hard to make systems. So, yeah, you had classes, but the classes had to play a role, which reminded me a lot of the paths in WildStar. But they had to have a role, like you had to be a tank or a crowd control or a damage dealer. That was very different than how I thought of roles in single player. So MMOs not only like scratched an itch I had as a player, but they just fascinated me from the point of view of design. And I learned a lot of lessons playing all these games that I tried to bring to WildStar. And what was interesting was when I stopped playing, or when I stopped working at Carbine, I pretty much stopped playing MMOs. It was just part and parcel of all the same thing, and I stopped playing. But that was fine. Other games came out, multiplayer games. I mean, that's when I really got into Borderlands and some other online games. So that continued. But pretty much my love affair with MMOs lasted from like 1998 to about 2011. And that's 13 years. That's a long time to just be in one genre. And so I just want to say that I really did like them. You know why I got into them. Kind of know now why I left them. But it made sense for that part of my career to be really into MMOs.